You're listening to Buying from the Couch. I'm your host, Keone Momohara. This is a podcast to help you navigate the home buying process with tips, tricks, and advice from industry experts. Sit back, relax, and get ready for some great info. On to the show, bro. Alrighty, welcome to Buying from the Couch. My name is Keone Momohara, your host, as per usual. Today I am here with Rebecca. What is the first joke that comes to mind?
First joke that comes to mind is one, I probably remember my dad telling me years and years ago. This guy gets hired to paint a church, kind of a smaller building, one room, whatever. They don't have a huge budget. He goes out, he buys the paint. He's like, man, this is really expensive. I'm going to thin this down, make a little profit on this job because, there's not much money there. So he goes through, does the whole thing, paints the church, steps back, takes a moment to admire his work, and all of a sudden he starts to hear this thunder, this big booming voice, and the wall of the church splits open, and he hears this giant voice from the heavens going, "Repaint ye thinner."
That was a good one. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Minnesota, north suburbs area. So mosquitoes are the state bird.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
No, I'm glad not to be around all that humidity anymore. So
Yeah. My
but
cousin,
living on a lake is nice.
yeah, that would be nice. It would be great. My cousin lives in Minnesota, and I thought she was part of like the big city, and she's like, my town is like 3/4 of the size of yours. It's like, oh, okay.
It depends on where in Minnesota you are. I was north suburbs, so you could be downtown, either city in about 25 minutes, or you could be in the middle of nowhere in about 20 minutes. But
Kind of like Billings.
kind of, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, which is I think why I like Billings so much. It's I keep telling my husband it's the smallest town I'll ever go to, to live. But I love it. It's a big city in the middle of all this wilderness, so
Yeah.
it's a good balance.
Yes, for sure. What are you?
So
It's a weird way to ask it.
that is maybe a weird way to ask it, but honestly, a lot of people don't understand. And even when I tell them I'm an interior designer, they don't know what that means. A lot of people immediately think decorator, furniture, paint
Staging.
colors, staging. Yeah, exactly. Especially in real estate like you're in. And that's really like 2% of what I do. So I have a bachelor's degree in interior design. That means I know all of the codes. I know the basics of building construction. I've basically had 3 less math classes than your average architect.
Wow.
And so what I focus on is the function of a space, space planning, which means how is the space going to be used? Is there enough space to do the things that you want? Are the sight lines good? Are the, I don't know, all of that technical stuff that a lot of people don't really think about. Design is one of those things that you don't notice it until it's not been thought about.
Yes, for sure. We were building a home up in the Heights, and they were asking all these questions that never came into my mind. I was like, I don't care about the style of the drawer pulls, but that makes a big impact on
It does.
the color of the cabinets.
Mhm.
And even with the architect, because I know you do more of the technical stuff, he's like, well, we're going to position the window and door here in the living room, so you've got light at this time to go to this window, and it's just there's way more to it than anybody thinks, which
Yes,
is
there is.
interesting.
Yep.
How long have you been in the industry?
Oh, forever. So technically, I graduated college just about 20 years ago.
Nice.
And been working on and off. I had a little bit of a hiatus during the last recession, but design is something that I've wanted to do ever since I was very little. My mom was very artistic. My dad's an engineer, so I ended up right smack in the middle. And I was even one of those kids who, there's summer school for kids that have to go, and then there's summer school for the kids that just want something educational to do.
Yeah.
And so middle school, I did summer classes to learn drafting.
Nice.
And designed my own house, used the old blueprint machine that actually used the ammonia and made the blue images. So that was something that I've just always wanted to do and always been working towards.
Nice. So you do interior design, but do you also help design layouts?
Well, yes, that is a big part of it. So designing the layout of the house, how it's going to flow. And yes, technically my title is interior designer, but I do design the inside and the outside.
Okay.
So all of those materials, how the house is going to position on the lot, if the client needs help with that. So
Yeah.
yes.
You're right. You're like, you said 3 classes away from an architect?
Basically 3 math classes. My sister's ex-husband was in school for that, and he used to always taunt me that he was, gonna be higher up than me. And
I took 3 extra
I'm
math
like,
classes.
no, I've taken that class, I've taken that class, I've taken that class. And yeah, not much difference.
Nice.
So I don't have the legal responsibility, however, of the architect. So thankfully, there's
Yes.
that.
That's always nice. So would you recommend if somebody was going to build a new house that they, I guess, when would you recommend getting involved? The very beginning with the architect?
Depending on what you're planning on building, you might not need an architect. So here in the state of Montana, what I draw plus your roof engineering report is what the city's going to look at for a permit. So really, it's just those 2 documents and then maybe a soils report. If you're building something really elaborate using cutting edge materials on a really rocky slope and there's really unique situations, then yes, you probably need an architect engineering team. However, if you're building in one of the subdivisions here in town or real close by, you probably don't. And then I can work with you from the very beginning, and that's probably all you need. And I should be involved right at the beginning. You want to have a plan before you start shopping your contractors, because the bids are only as good as the plan that they are based on.
Oh, yes. 100% agree to that. Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
Note to contractors. Work off of the plan and make sure the plan is sufficient. If it's not, don't bid it. Tell them to get it fixed so that everybody's on the same page and nobody has any hiccups.
Exactly. Yeah. Square footage, prices, estimates. That's all they are. It's an estimate. It's a number that lets you know whether you should start the process.
Yeah.
It's not a number that you should hang your hat on and assume the project is going to go according to that, because there are way too many factors.
Yep. 100% agree with that. That's one thing to people who are building homes or even buying a spec home. The cost is not going to stay the same when you sign your contract.
No.
Most of the time we try to bake in a little bit of cushion so we're not panicking, but like this build that we're doing, prices increased like 10%.
Yep.
And we didn't account for that. Nobody could. It was COVID. Nobody knew about it. But yeah, that estimate number is a figure and it's an estimate.
Exactly.
It's a range. Be sure to keep that in mind.
And that's definitely something I talk with my clients about. And that's why I like to get involved in the process as early as I do before they shop those contractors, because I can help my clients pick out the exact cabinets that they want, the flooring, the lighting, all of that. And if they have those numbers, those estimates, those exact products at the beginning, again, that's something that the builder can come back and say, oh, you have an estimate for this product. Let's go ahead and order this right now, lock in today's price, make sure that we're beating the timeline. You know, we're not ordering cabinets the day before they need to be installed, because that's not going to work. So it does, if the builder has the cash flow to place those orders on day one when that contract is signed, that helps to minimize a lot of those pricing fluctuations.
Yes, for sure. Cats or dogs?
I lean towards cats for sure. We always joke. We actually have one of each right now in my house, but we have the most cat-like dog ever. So she's like a 60-pound shepherd Roddy mix.
Nice.
But she is just mellow and sweet. And yeah.
Nice. I have the opposite view of cats. I think cats are from down under. They just...
But that's why they're fun.
Yeah, I prefer not to die of scratches.
Yeah.
But dogs do the same, I guess. So
They can.
where do you work?
So I own my own design company, Revision Custom Home Design, and that I've had that in business for about 5 years now.
Nice.
So kind of taking that culmination of all the other experience I've had working for builders and flooring places and design places and all that, and made my own company to do exactly the part of the job that I want to do.
Nice. That's great. So you worked with a whole bunch of other trades and a whole bunch of other aspects of design before you did this.
Yeah, everything from furniture showrooms all the way through to construction companies, remodel companies.
Wow.
So I've kind of done the whole gamut, which is really nice. You get to see all different aspects. Every job had different things, of course, that I learned from.
Yeah.
Whether it's relating to customers, learning about furniture, learning about how to accessorize and the fun stuff, to being on job sites and seeing how things actually get built and how to communicate with those tradespeople.
Nice. Wow. That's much needed in an industry like this.
Yes.
'Cause
Communication.
Yeah. Oh, yes. 100%. You're not, I guess you're technically in a real estate transaction. Technically. Because you're working with.
On the fringes, yes.
Yes. Somewhat involved. So we'll switch that question from what do you do in the transaction to what do you do with your clients? Kind of just a basic start to finish, how your process works and how you work through things.
Absolutely. So if I'm working with a client for a new build construction, quite often the realtor will bring me in and say, hey, I have a client. They just bought this piece of land. Now they need a plan before they can go to their builder. So I will meet with the client. I'll find out what exactly their needs are for this house. You know, the usual stuff: how many bedrooms, bathrooms, those basics. And then learn a little bit about their family. You know, do you have pets? Do you have kids? What exactly does this house need to do? And then find out if they've already started to gather inspiration. You know, usually that someone has, you know, a printout that they found online, or, oh, I went to
Pinterest.
my friend's house, or exactly Pinterest or whatever. So I take that. Then I go and I create the layout for the house, how I think it's going to work, what all the traffic patterns are going to be, which, you know, adjacencies. That's the most important thing. You know, do you want the kids' rooms to be next to the parents' rooms because they're little and you want to be close? Or do you want them to be far away in separate wings of the house? And, you know, all of those different things to take into consideration. Then I'll have a Zoom meeting with them or in person where we look at the house in 3D. We build the model and we can actually walk through the whole entire thing, see it, see if there's anything that feels out of place, if anything feels squished or not squished, and we need to make adjustments. And then I work through the cabinet layout for the kitchens and bathrooms. I work through the material selections for exterior, interior, if they need help with that. Now, not every client needs all of those things, but the way that I do it, I just, whatever they do need help with, I get it to them. And then once we've made those choices, I do the final construction set, get that to their builder so that the builder can start to do their estimates and get that roof engineering.
Nice.
So I draw pretty pictures of houses that other people build.
Living the dream.
Yes.
I write up pretty documents that sell the houses that builders build and you design.
Exactly.
So, are you kind of like an individual superpower, or do you have multiple people that you can go to, reach out with, and network with?
So within my own company, I am the superpower.
Yeah.
So I do all of it: the design, the drafting, the rendering, everything. But I'm successful in those new construction and remodel projects because I have connections with vendors here in town. I have my favorite cabinet places. I have my favorite flooring places. And I go to them because they are the experts in the products they sell and what they do. I do the layouts. They recommend the particular products. So.
Sweet. I like that. What are some quirky aspects of your industry that people wouldn't know?
So a lot of people, like, well, you mentioned Pinterest and then like HGTV. So many people
gosh.
think that is the industry. And I'm sure you get a lot too with real estate.
Yep.
Oh, they just walk in, show me a pretty house, and then it's done. Well, no, your job is 99% behind the scenes.
Yep.
Same here. You know, those projects that you see on HGTV, they don't show the budget. They don't show the timeline. Even when they do show the budget, oftentimes on those shows, certain things are comped because they're on TV. And then they're like, oh, look, this was only a $5,000 bathroom. It was not a $5,000 bathroom.
Maybe the labor was $5,000.
Maybe that one piece of tile.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So things are never as smooth as they seem on TV. Things are never going to cost what they seem on TV. They're always going to take longer. And what the designer does is not walk in and go, oh, that's a really pretty piece of marble. Let's use it in the house. No, they've been drafting it out. They've actually got the layout. They've measured everything down to 1/8 of an inch. Then they go to that yard and they have that expert tell them what marble is going to be best or what stone is going to be best. Then at the end, they get to pick the color.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a very big thing to note. Even in remodels and just homes in general, everybody thinks it's going to be quick, easy, snappy, and a piece of cake.
Yes.
And that's, to an extent, what you want.
Mhm.
But a majority of the time, like as the realtor, I'm not just dealing with the sale and the transaction. I'm not just dealing with the contracts. I'm talking to the designer. I'm talking to the builder. I'm talking to the architect. I'm talking to the utility companies to make sure everything's going right. Same with the designers. They're not just designing your house. They're finding the dimensions of the stone. They're finding the dimensions of the cabinets. They're helping coordinate with the install, which also coordinates with me so I know when things are getting done.
Yep.
And then at the end of it, I think that's a big thing that people have with the market of real estate is it's hard for them to see the value of what you do because they see a finished product. They're like, oh, you put some lines on a piece of paper with measurements. No, I didn't. I measured out this floor plan, used all of my technical skills to write a flow of a house, which most people don't know houses have a flow.
Yep.
And then on the real estate side, it's like, oh, you just wrote up a contract. I did. But I also had to coordinate with the designer and I had to coordinate with everybody else. So when you're going into a transaction, make sure that just be aware that you may not see everything. That doesn't mean we're not working our butts off. And that doesn't mean that we're not providing adequate value for compensation.
Well, exactly. And in both of our industries, like you said, it's our job to make the consumer think that this is a seamless process.
Oh, yeah.
And it's our
100%.
job to make it easy for them.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of behind the scenes. There's a lot of me sitting in my basement muttering and staring at my computer going, why is this 1 inch not adding up?
Yep. A lot of staring at a contract. Why didn't this work? Why aren't we winning? What the heck? Yeah, so I think just note to everybody who's in the real estate market, take it easy on us. Appreciate us. I mean, you could do it yourself. I don't know how well that would fare. You can try if you'd like, but if not, we're both here. Just remember that it's not all daisies and rainbows.
And buy us coffee occasionally.
Oh, yeah, that would be amazing. Do you have any tips, tricks, or advice for people who are about to embark on a building or buying journey? I think the buying side is a little bit more, because I don't think people realize that, yeah, you buy a house, but you don't have to take it the way it is.
My biggest piece of advice is plan now. If you're even thinking about doing anything in the housing industry right now, start planning. Whether it's buying a house or whether it's building a house, you need to start writing down what it is that you want, what it is that you're looking for, what features you absolutely have to have. In this market, and I'm sure you advise your clients on this a lot, you have to act fast, which means you have to know what you want, what you're okay with, and what you're willing to overlook or what you're okay with dealing with down the road.
Yes.
And so that's having a realistic sense of your budget. They say when you buy a house, you might do a whole bunch of stuff, maybe that first 6 months to a year, quick little updates when you first move in, little bits of furniture to, make your new place fit.
Yeah.
And then you really don't spend money on your house again till about that 5-year mark because you're sort of recovering.
Yeah.
Emotionally, financially, all of those things. So all these things that you think you're going to do in that first year, if you don't really do them in that first year, you probably aren't going to do them for a little while. So know what you're willing to live with if you buy a house that has condition issues.
Yeah.
So that you can make that choice if the opportunity presents itself.
Yep.
And from a design standpoint, plan now. If you're planning on meeting with a builder and getting something built, start writing down everything you think you want. You can always pare back, start out with your number one ultimate, and then you pare back according to the budget. So keep track. Pinterest is a great way to kind of organize. I also sell a line of blank journals for the planning process.
Nice.
So you can find them on Amazon, and it's just the home planning journal. But it's just a blank book with lined pages and dot grid pages. So you can write your notes, pin in business cards of people you've met. The dot grid pages are great for sketching out your ideas if you see something on Pinterest or wherever and you just want to scribble out what you think it would look like. And then that way you have that document when you're ready to meet with a designer, when you're ready to meet with a builder to show them this is what I want.
Nice. So. That's pretty sweet. And I guess that goes for buying as well, because I know that a lot of people, they think that they're going to walk into a house and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be my dream home. Yeah. No.
I mean, 80%.
Yeah. But there's always going to be... There's always going to be things that you're going to want to fix and things you're going to want to change. So I do recommend that, like she said, plan ahead. Know that just go in it preparing that you're not going to, 99% of the time, you're not going to get exactly what you want.
Exactly.
But if you have a plan, you say, okay, I'm willing to spend, we'll say $10,000 on renovations and repairs. Then you can walk through the home with your realtor, invite your design team with.
Yes.
Walk through the house, look at it together, say, hey, I've got a budget of this much. I like the house. Would this be able to fit in this? And would this be able to turn things around?
Exactly.
Then everybody's in the process from the beginning and you know what you're getting into.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So you work in the Billings area.
Yes.
Do you do any other, are you able to work with people outside of Billings or?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I work with people all over the country.
Oh, wow.
So I definitely, Billings and, Columbus, Park City, Hardin even, I do remodels locally just because for that you really have to measure the existing conditions and usually see it. But for new home construction, I actually have clients in Texas, Virginia, South Carolina, Missouri, all over the place.
Wow.
Again, because I don't do the engineering and that has to be done locally, there's no reason someone can't use my services here in Montana. I email everything. We do everything via Zoom. So it works out really well. And then they have their local builder find the local engineer to meet those codes.
Nice.
But the elements of the design are the same. It's really just, at that point, it comes down to building materials.
Okay. Sweet. What is one design trend that you absolutely despise and one that you absolutely love?
All white is on the I'd rather not side.
Okay.
Now, that being said, my client's personality is what should show in their home.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what you want, I will find a way to make it absolutely gorgeous. But I think there's a lot more fun to be had in bright colors and colors that make you feel at home and colors that energize you. And I'm really excited that even though, farmhouse modern is the phrase that everyone uses, and it
Yep.
encompasses a lot.
It does.
And there is nothing wrong with that. There are definitely elements of it that I do like. But it's shifting. Like that umbrella term is evolving, which I'm very happy about. And we're seeing a lot of more color added into that. Greens and neutrals, earth tones have always been part of that. And now we're even seeing things like, I don't want to say mauve, but shades of purple and plum and turquoises and mustards and some of those coming in. And they really enhance the space.
Nice.
So bring in your personality, bring in those earthy elements, have that farmhouse modern if that's what you like, but have touches of nature in there.
I'm very plain. I like black and white.
And that can
But-
be done well.
It can with taste,
With-
and I don't
exactly.
have that.
And that's when you call someone in to say, hey, this is what I like. How can we make it look good?
Yep.
And I will do that.
I highly recommend you do that
Yes.
because I would fail miserably at that.
Well, and I had a consultation the other day, and the gal kept saying, oh, well, my style is this, but this new home we just bought, none of my stuff looks like it fits. And I said, well, why? And we walked around the house, and she's showing me all these things, and I was able to suggest a few paint colors in a few locations that instead of buying new stuff to fit this new house, she was able to then make a few little changes to the house so that she could display all of these things that she'd collected over the years that she loved.
Yeah,
So why wouldn't you?
yeah.
You know?
I do have a question regarding the building side of it.
Okay.
So if there's a contractor
Mhm.
and they're building a spec home,
Mhm.
nothing fancy, nothing super great.
Yeah.
Would you recommend, because I know on the real estate side, it's really good to keep everything neutral and everything somewhat plain
Okay.
so that people can see what their house could look like.
Yes.
It gives them a little bit more creativity and allows them to see things in the space a little better. Would you recommend builders do something different, like add a little bit more color or set the theme of the house before it's sold? What would you recommend?
And that it definitely is kind of that tricky thing because you don't want to lock yourself too much into one style because there's always going to be those people that don't like that. But it's almost overwhelming to walk into a space that's all white and beige.
Yeah.
And gray.
Yeah.
And people, on the one hand, yes, like you said, it can allow them that freedom to be creative and think, oh, what would I do with this space? But sometimes people need that starting point.
Yeah.
They need some element that says, oh, here's a thought. Why not go this direction? So maybe that means not necessarily some super specific, detailed, unique tile that you can't change easily, but it does mean maybe we throw a unique paint color up here, or maybe we bring in a wood element where we normally would have done a white painted element, do a cool set of doors on an office instead of, if all the doors in the house are white and painted and, neutral, then you have this one feature room in the front and maybe you use a wood door to draw attention to that. It's subtle. It's not going to turn people off. They can always paint it if they want, but it just kind of gets them thinking about something a little different. So don't be afraid to put some uniqueness into your spec homes.
Sweet. I really appreciate that
Mhm.
because we walked into a house. Well, another agent in my office walked into a house and he said, there's no lights here. They just did put lights up
Okay.
because he wanted the client to pick it. And I was like, yeah, that's nice, but it's a light fixture.
Yeah.
Put up a cheap one, and if they don't like it, they can change it.
Yeah. I can see both sides of that. My parents, when my parents built their last house back mid-90s, and they could not agree on a light fixture for the kitchen. Mom did not want a fluorescent box, but she didn't know what she wanted. And we jokingly called it our Russian light fixture. It was an exposed light bulb with a ceramic base like you see in unfinished basements. And we lived with that for 6 years until my mom finally found one she liked. We were okay with it.
Yeah.
It was the family running joke. But again, people, they're going to either do something right away when they first buy the house or they're going to wait 5 years. They're not going to put that money into it. So just pick something.
Yeah. Thank you. For the love of all things mighty.
But don't pick a boob light. There are so many other options.
I'm sorry. I picked boob lights for this house.
Wafer lights. At least go with wafer lights instead of boob lights.
Actually, wait a second. Yeah, I did. I made sure all the other light fixtures, that were above the dining room table, above the island, and in the entry were statements, not crazy, but not boob lights. And then I just said, screw it, and put boob lights in the rest of the house.
I actually had someone unfollow my social media page because I posted an image of a project that a contractor did that had a boob light in it. And it was one that I had given him the concept for. I'd given him a materials concept and said, here you go, you run with it, you build this. And he did not buy the light fixture I picked for the kitchen. He put in a boob light. And I didn't Photoshop it out with the correct fixture. And I had someone message me and say, I can't follow your page anymore. You have boob lights on there. Like, I see your point. However, that was not what I was hired for.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Yep. Not my rodeo.
I told him what to do, and he didn't listen. I think he saved $10.
Yeah, probably.
You know, because it was not an expensive fixture I picked.
Yeah.
But it was 10 times better.
Yes.
So, oh well.
It is what it is.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any other tips, any little snippets, anything that you'd like to share?
I guess my biggest thing that I'm always trying to help people with is know when to hire an expert. Know when that is going to improve your project. A lot of people have this perception of design as being this elite, this luxury, and this expensive thing. And to some extent, yes. But if you're in the market for a house now anyway, if you're building a house, it's a level of luxury that's in line with the investment that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
And hiring a designer is going to save you money. It's going to save you stress, and you are going to be so much happier with the outcome. Guaranteed. You know, I think I mentioned this before. You don't notice design unless it's not there.
Yep.
And then you really notice that it's not there.
100%.
So.
Yep. I like that. Well, I thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
I appreciate your time and all of your valuable insights and telling me about things I totally didn't know existed. If people want to get a hold of you and get in touch with you, what ways can they do that?
So my business name is Revision Custom Home Design, and you can find me on just about any social media channel that's out there. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and then my website is rchomedesign.com.
Well, let's kick today in the butt. Make today a good day. Go out and have a great day. Kick today in the butt. Make progress. Make change. And remind yourself that it's okay. Have a good day. These are disclaimers. I have to put them here. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lender. I'm not a title officer or escrow agent. I'm only a realtor. If you have questions on any of the topics covered in this show, please direct them to the appropriate industry professional. The Realtor Reach Out portion of the show is not directed to anyone who is currently working with a realtor. However, if you don't have a realtor, get a hold of us and we'd be more than happy to hook you up with one in your local area. The information and content in this podcast is educational and industry-wide information. Be sure to check with your local industry professional before making a decision. Lying from the Couch and the producers do not accept any audio clips from anybody for any reason. Thanks. Bye.